What if the burger you are currently eating was never intended to be food? A Frankenstein of additives, freezer-burned leftovers, and chemical trickery masquerading as dinner. Not meat, not truthful. That quick lunch could be more like a loaded rifle concealed within a sesame bun for millions of Americans, particularly those over 55 who are taking medication for heart disease, diabetes, or high blood pressure. The 8 burger restaurants that continue to feed Americans with what they dare to call meat are exposed today. You won't ever look at that sesame seed bun the same way again after this, we promise. Behind the smiling mascot and late-night specials, Jack in the Box has a past that should make anyone think twice before placing an order. The restaurant likes to portray itself as a unique place where strange is welcome and deliciousness comes with a wink. One of the deadliest food poisoning incidents in fast food history occurred in 1993 as a result of Jack in the Box. But before we get right in, if you're worried about your health, click the subscribe button and turn on notifications, because this is where we share the facts that no one talks about. And if you're with me, please let me know. In the comment field, put 1 if you're currently viewing and this video speaks to you. Type 0 otherwise. You are unaware of the significance of your voice. Hundreds were hospitalized and 4 children died. One would expect that such a catastrophe would permanently alter a business. However, the same dangerous shortcuts are still concealed beneath the buns 30 years later. In 2023, Arizona health inspectors discovered that workers were estimating the doneness of patties based only on color because thermometers were broken. That's gambling with someone's immune system, not cooking. A walk-in refrigerator was transformed into a petri dish when Houston police discovered raw chicken seeping onto beef. When supplies ran low, stores in low-income neighborhoods were under pressure to reuse expired toppings, according to internal memos uncovered by one manager's lawsuit. Then, there is the actual flesh. Jack's Value Burgers were found to include trace levels of silicon dioxide, a substance more suited for industrial powders than for human consumption, and soy protein taste enhancers in lab testing conducted by an independent food safety group. It's not science fiction if that sounds like it. Dinner is being served. Their cheeseburger of all time. More than 800 calories and 1,500 milligrams of sodium, almost a whole day for elderly people attempting to control their blood pressure. Jack in the Box wants you to join in on the jokes. However, there's nothing amusing about a burger that could take the millions of elderly people who are silently fighting diabetes or heart disease to the emergency room. Sometimes the clown is a warning sign rather than a jest. Wendy's. You get a pleasant, familiar, almost nostalgic smile from Wendy's. It all feels like a handshake from the past, including the square, the red-haired cartoon girl, and the new, never-frozen catchphrase, Patty. However, beneath the allure lies a system based on industrial convenience and half-truths. First, let's talk about the main promise. Never freeze it. It seems like something that would have been acceptable to Grandma. Leaked supplier documents, however, paint a different picture. Franchise sites located far from distribution centers routinely received shipments of frozen meat. Many patties, particularly those from the East Coast, end up in freezers for longer than your Thanksgiving leftovers. What occurs after those freshly made patties dry out? Workers in several states acknowledged that they had sprayed water on outdated burgers and then microwaved them before serving. A Wendy's employee was heard laughing, "It ain't fresh, it's Frankenstein," in one widely shared video that was swiftly removed. Let's talk numbers, though, the kind that make medical professionals cringe. A Baconator combo has more sodium than a bag of pretzels in the desert, more than 1,400 calories, and 63 grams of fat. For elderly people who are on blood pressure medication, that is a heart hazard, not a meal. Furthermore, it extends beyond the food on the platter. A Texas location that forced elderly workers to perform unpaid overtime in 2023 was fined $120,000 for wage theft. 2 of them, who were above 65, were working consecutive shifts for no pay, and fired the woman who dared to speak up. The role of the amiable neighbor is played by Wendy's. However, removing the red and white exterior reveals little but corporate glitz, a reheated burger, and a promise that vanished as soon as it was placed on the grill. Rallies and checkers. With their racing stripes, loudspeakers, and outrageously delicious food, Checkers and Rallies aspire to be the rebels of the drive-through chrome. Beyond the brightness, however, you'll see something darker, a chain behind the fryer that silently crumbles while holding to nostalgia. A Baltimore store was closed in 2022 when health inspectors discovered damaged coolers, raw meat perspiring under heat lamps, and mouse droppings on bun racks. This was a view into the system, not just one poor day. The chain accrued more than 80 health code infractions in several states, including Florida, Georgia, and Missouri, in a single year. According to a Tampa whistleblower, ruined burgers were sprayed with additional spice and distributed like perfume on a corpse. Additionally, a worker was seen washing cutlery in a mop bucket in a widely shared image that went viral on Reddit. You mistook the water on the right floor for kitchen sanitizer. Not to be overlooked is the meat. Up to 30% of their Big Buford's patties was manufactured from ultra-processed beef scraps, which even pet food businesses reject, according to lab tests. The remainder is a mixture of dubious preservatives that are prohibited in a number of European nations. The true hit to the gut checkers and Rallies, however, is that they have been repeatedly cited for labor infractions, including as using minors in the kitchen and making senior staff work consecutive shifts without receiving overtime compensation. They're not supporting disobedience. Those who deserve better are being sold denial disguised as something else, because nostalgia does not make a kitchen hygienic. Furthermore, Carl's Jr. and Hardee's shouldn't be associated with fast infections. There is a sizzle in the beginning, like a rock concert in a paper wrapper, a huge, cheese-covered burger is blaring through your TV speakers. The picture exudes rebellion. Be bold, go big, and get filthy. Stepping beneath the advertising effort, however, reveals more carelessness masquerading as lawlessness. Inspectors in the Midwest and South discovered deep fryers with thick, charred, and chemically unstable oil that had been used for more than a week. Not everything that's fried in that sludge tastes bad. It turns into a vehicle for acrylamide, a carcinogen that is particularly harmful to aging immune systems and has been connected to cancer and neurological damage. That fries side, more akin to an unsigned chemistry experiment, and they boast about that thick burger. It turns out that American ranches do not supply all of the beef. Some are imported from Australia and South America, where hormones are uncontrolled and regulation is laxer. Ractopamine, a growth medication that is prohibited in more than 160 countries, was detected in 2 of 8 samples in 2022. You may receive 2 doses here in America. Just ketchup to clean everything up. No apology, no warning label. The way they treat the individuals who make those burgers, however, is the worst. During a solitary shift, a 73-year-old prep cook injured her wrist after slipping on a grease-slick floor. Before she clocked out, management instructed her to complete the lunch rush. That is corporate cruelty, not workplace grit. Therefore, consider whether this is truly revolt the next time you see a commercial with loud guitars, slow-motion bacon flips, and excessive swagger. Or simply another ruse for cheap food in a society that devours its employees as quickly as its meat. Burger King. You eagerly open it to see a toasty bread with a smoky aroma and a Whopper that seems to have been grilled just for you. But when something that smells like a backyard barbecue turns out to be something far more manufactured, the illusion quickly wears off. The unsettling fact about flame-grilled food is that it doesn't taste like fire. Nowadays, the majority of locations use reheating belts that provide fictitious grill marks on patties that have previously been grilled in central facilities. It's not a kitchen, it's a marketing theater. Furthermore, it's not only beef that's cooking behind the scenes. According to separate laboratory tests, some burgers were filled with a mixture of mechanically separated meat, textured vegetable protein, and soy fillers. Pet food seems artisanal because it is so processed. There were even bone fragment evidence in one sample. You believed you were slicing into flesh. As it happened, it resembled protein putty more. However, there are other issues than the kitchen. Photos of roaches near burners, lettuce kept next to raw meat, and grease-covered broilers were released by many former workers in 2024. In one image that went viral, a manager was seen using a rag to wipe away mold that had started to grow along the edge of a prep table before stacking buns. Safety also becomes optional when sanitation does. Your health will also suffer as a result. For older persons, a Whopper meal with fries and a drink contains almost a day's worth of salt, more than 300 milligrams. That combination of values may bring someone who is suffering from heart disease or high blood pressure one step closer to the emergency room. Burger King aims to give you what you desire. But what if their method is planned deceit, where safety is a coin throw, meat is a mystery, and flavor comes from a bottle? Because the truth isn't always guaranteed by the crown in the fast food kingdom. It simply conceals it better sometimes. McDonald's, it isn't just a burger. It's a feature of childhood in America. Every highway has golden arches that shine like lighthouses. A pause following baseball practice. An inexpensive pleasure. A wonderful moment for families with working members. However, what if that comfort food starts to negatively impact your health? Instead of a kitchen, every McDonald's has a factory. Food is not touched, it moves on timers. Workers adhere to flowcharts rather than recipes. They don't make the quarter pounder. The beef used in its assembly has been ground, injected, and molded thousands of kilometers away from the location where it is served. The hitch is that McDonald's demands that all of the meat be 100% beef, but that only applies to the meat portion and not the finished patty. What ends up on your tray is more chemistry than food when you add sodium phosphates and maltodextrin-modified starches. Only 51% of the weight of a sample quarter pounder in one independent analysis from 2023 was actual beef. The remaining filling agents, binders, and water retainers are made to make less meat seem like more. The calories, too. More than 100 calories, almost 1,400 milliliters of salt, and enough saturated fat to make any cardiologist grab for their stethoscope are all included in a Big Mac combo. It's a steady burn, a habit that millions of people repeat every day rather than a single mouthful. They even question their suppliers. According to a 2022 study, elderly immigrant workers in McDonald's poultry facilities were forced to perform 10-hour stints in frigid warehouses with little heat or restroom breaks. Families established on labor are broken by the very food that is supposed to comfort them. A strong emotion is nostalgia. However, it won't reveal what's actually inside that burger wrapper, it won't lower your blood pressure, and it won't clean a dirty system. Because while a smile at McDonald's might be free, what about the price to your dignity and health? Fine print always hides that section. Castle White. They are packaged like toys from a bygone era. Steamed and tender, these little sliders are arranged in tidy rows, reminiscent of late-night desires or childhood road trips. At White Castle, however, nostalgia is a potent cover that conceals a manufacturing system that is far different from anything prepared at home. The majority of folks are unaware that those burgers aren't freshly grilled at the restaurant. They are manufactured in large quantities at central plants, flash frozen, and then transported around the nation before being brought back to life in store. This is food that is produced for inventory, not for you. The onion isn't even fresh. Usually, water vapor is used to reconstitute dehydrated flakes. Often, the scent of cooked food is merely a hallucination created by microwaves and moisture. Although the bun feels soft to the touch, it is loaded with emulsifiers and contains propionic acid, which are connected to digestion issues and inflammation of the intestines. One slider could indicate more than simply indigestion for elderly Americans who already have delicate systems. It's actually a hidden health hazard. Let's discuss sanitation. More than 70 infractions were registered in 6 states in 2022. Fly larvae were observed crawling within a bread drawer at one location in Cleveland. Others were warned for holding meat at dangerous unrefrigerated temperatures, the ideal conditions for bacteria to grow, and reusing cooked onions. The worst part is still to come. Most people eat 4, 5, or even 6 White Castle sliders in one sitting since they are small. In other words, a meal that vanishes in a matter of minutes but remains in your system for a long time has 4 times as much sodium-saturated fat and artificial additives. They try to sell you nostalgia. In reality, though, you're ingesting a future that no one requested. one of highly manufactured convenience wrapped in nostalgic cardboard boxes. Because a burger isn't a snack when it gets smaller, but has more molecular complexity. It's actually a warning. Sonic drive-in, skates on rollers, limeades with cherries, car hops while cheerfully delivering meals. Sonic offers you a glimpse of 1950s America, a drive-in fantasy that has managed to endure throughout the years. However, beneath the old charm lies a chain that is completely out of date. Let's begin with the preparation of the dish. Several former workers have disclosed that, contrary to what the advertisements suggest, burgers are frequently frozen and subsequently microwaved during peak hours. Managers tell employees to cover up dryness with more lettuce and pickles to provide the appearance of freshness in order to conceal the rubbery texture. It's not flavor. It is the epitome of stagecraft. Penicillium mold spores, which grow well in humid, poorly ventilated prep rooms, were discovered on a random Sonic bun in 2024 in lab testing conducted in Alabama. In Missouri, another business received a citation for keeping slime-covered lettuce and scorched spinach in walk-in refrigerators that hadn't been cleaned in weeks. However, the diet is only a portion of the issue. The human cost is arguably more disturbing behind the scenes. During historic heat waves in Texas, older workers were compelled to endure 10-hour outdoor shifts without adequate breaks or shade. On a July afternoon rush, a 68-year-old woman passed out. After giving her a Sprite, her manager instructed her to leave. Even though it's not 1955 anymore, Sonic still handles its work as if time had never passed, and those famous shakes and slushes that are packed with artificial coloring, high fructose syrups, and enough sugar to make a blood glucose monitor go haywire. These delectable snacks are silent landmines that are offered with a straw to elderly Americans who are managing heart disease or diabetes. Although Sonic has a nostalgic look, the reality is brutal, fast, cheap, and uncaring, because beneath the neon lights and old-fashioned smiles, what's being offered is a system that compromises dignity for nostalgia and quality for haste. They referred to it as only a hamburger. However, what we discovered was a much more complex system where actual meat is replaced by additives, corporate slogans take the place of safety, and the confidence of hard-working Americans is subtly exchanged for larger profit margins. This is more than just taste for elderly Americans who are dealing with diabetes, heart disease, or high blood pressure. It's a matter of survival. Because each burger on this list is a bet as much as a meal, the house also prevails far too frequently. Deceptive chemical shortcuts or sentimental lies are not enough for you. You should eat cuisine that honors your dignity, your hard work, and your health. Because what you believe in while you eat it is just as important as what you eat. Pause the next time you're going through the drive-thru. Look past the $5 combinations, the neon signs, and the happy mascots. Think about it. Is this food or simply a risky wrapper? There is still an option for you. Don't just support convenience, support the places that feed you with ethics. Do you think today's analysis was enjoyable? Please leave a remark so that we can continue our discussions. To ensure you don't miss our next unbiased, in-depth analysis, remember to press the bell, like, and subscribe.